Imagine a quiet morning shattered by gunfire, an echo from a bygone era of crime and glamour. This is the story of Vic Maceo, the last of Galveston's notorious crime syndicate. In 1994, criminal charges against Vic Maceo were dropped due to his incompetence to stand trial. He passed away in 1997, leaving behind a legacy of crime and intrigue. On a seemingly ordinary day, 89-year-old Vic Maceo walked into Pete Miller's office, drew a .38 revolver, and fired. It was a scene straight out of a bad movie. Miller, a former busboy turned CPA, was left with a shattered arm, while Maceo was booked for attempted murder. This was how disputes were settled in Galveston decades ago. Vic Maceo was the last surviving member of the Maceo crime syndicate, a minor player in a gang once led by his cousins, Rosario, Papa Rose, Maceo and Salvatore, Big Sam, Maceo. The gun Maceo used was so old that officers struggled to remove the copper-jacketed bullets from the chamber, a relic from a different time. Within minutes, the shooting was the talk of the island. People couldn't help but feel a sense of pride that such an incident could only happen in Galveston. Maceo believed Miller owed him money from a real estate deal 25 years ago. Miller had bought a house from Maceo in 1968 and sold it in 1991 for 4 times the amount. Old-timers speculated that Maceo's cronies had been teasing him, suggesting that Miller got the better of him in the deal. The thought was intolerable to Maceo. Maceo, known as Little Vic, was always a hothead. He had recently asked his attorney about suing the real estate agent involved in the sale, but was advised to forget it. On the morning of the shooting, Maceo had coffee with retirees, drove his red sports car through Galveston, and parked behind Miller's office, waiting like an ill-tempered tiger. Maceo, dressed like a gangster from a bad movie, confronted Miller, demanding $40,000 he believed was still owed to him. Miller was baffled by the claim. Miller reminded Maceo that he had signed a release in 1983, but Maceo accused him of forging the documents. The tension in the room escalated. Maceo's eyes went cold as he reached inside his coat. Miller, trying to defuse the situation, laughed at the absurdity, but then the gun appeared and shots were fired. Miller was hit, tumbling to the floor. Maceo walked out, telling Miller's secretary, "I shot your boss," before heading to his car. The police arrived just as Maceo was leaving. The surrender was almost touching, with Maceo explaining his actions in a firm, grandfatherly voice. The name Maceo once reverberated across Galveston. For 30 years, the Maceos ran the island, controlling its economy, politics, and spirit. The Maceos migrated from Sicily to Louisiana, then to Galveston, where they started as barbers before taking over the island's rackets. They opened the Hollywood Dinner Club, booking big-name entertainers and attracting high rollers. It was the swankiest night spot on the Gulf Coast. The Maceos' influence extended to every corner of Galveston, from glittering casinos to the notorious red light district. They ran a clean game in a clean town. The Maceos maintained law and order with their own squad of vigilantes. Miscreants simply disappeared, and mobsters from other parts of the country stayed away. By the 1950s, the Maceo era was ending. A wave of idealism and a new respect for the law led to the eventual shutdown of the syndicate. Most of the Maceos moved away, but Vic stayed on, operating a modest motel and occasionally campaigning for the return of gambling to the island. Vic A. Maceo Jr., Gigolo's son, now serves as the director of the Beach Patrol. He is proud of his family's history, despite its criminal past. Vic Maceo's actions created a dilemma for prosecutors. Nobody wanted to imprison an 89-year-old man in poor health, but he had almost killed Pete Miller. Miller filed a civil suit, wondering how much the old man had stashed away and where. The mystery of Maceo's hidden wealth lingered. What drove Maceo to such desperate actions? Some speculated it was a final attempt at redemption, a last effort to get it right. The Maceo era is a significant chapter in Texas history, a time when the underworld became the overworld, and everyone in Galveston profited. The Maceos were not just gangsters, they were genuine citizens who took an interest in local politics and were active in civic and charitable affairs. They helped the community in many ways, from sending orphans to college to organizing fundraisers with Hollywood celebrities. Despite their criminal activities, the Maceos left a lasting legacy in Galveston, a blend of crime, glamour, and community spirit. Thank you for watching. Dive deeper into the intriguing history of Galveston and the Maceo crime syndicate. Subscribe for more captivating stories.